Dear saints of God of Camp United Methodist Church and beyond, in these last few days it has come to my attention that a little over a week and a half ago I was in the presence of someone who would later test positive for COVID-19. This person was asymptomatic and they're actually doing fine. They have been faithful in practicing quarantine since they found out. The health professionals this person worked with indicated that it was not necessary to do official contact tracing because they had been in an environment where safe practices of distancing and masks were used. I've shown no symptoms, but out of a love for you and the greater community that I serve, I decided to be extra cautious, and I was tested on Wednesday, July 15th. It's only because I actually have very mild asthma that the healthcare professionals went ahead and let me be tested because my potential exposure barely qualified me for being tested. Now that I have been tested, I'm going to assume a posture of being positive until I receive my results, which means I will be in quarantine for another 4 to 8 days. I've been in close contact through Zoom with Camp United Methodist Church COVID-19 Task Force. One thing we discussed that we can do as followers of Christ is help to reduce the stigma behind all of this. The reality is that we are in the midst of a pandemic, and we as the church are to offer to each other and to the world compassion and not shame that would keep people from getting tested or otherwise doing what is best for society. This is one reason I am trying to speak as clear as I can about this in my own experience. Now that we've had the experience of this pandemic coming this close within our own community, thank goodness, of course, in an asymptomatic way, Camp's task force is meeting next week to take the moment to reevaluate our current plan and its implementation. We've also committed to working on a better system of communication so that we can be clear regarding the different phases that we're deciding toward re-entry. This experience has reawakened me and our task force to how important our work as a church is to be an agent of good in the world. I've become very keenly aware of how important this is as I consider each person that I have been in contact with, even if it was in small groups and socially distanced and we're wearing masks and not touching. It's just made me keenly aware. So currently, both in our state and our county, the data shows a continued rate of increase in the number of those requiring hospitalization. Our state government is offering their best for the sake of our common life together society regarding the phases of reentry. Governor Cooper has paused us in phase 2, Safer at Home, for another 3 weeks. Our current plan at camp is to not re-enter into corporate worship, even in a limited capacity, while we as a state are in phase 2. We're going to continue to offer small, very limited gatherings, socially distanced, masks, proper hand sanitation, and we're also trying to move some of these things, as much of these things, to Zoom as possible. The task force has done a great job developing these protective measures, not to restrict the work of God, but to give us a framework to imagine how we can live deeply within the 3 core arenas of loving God, through worship, through small group discipleship, and missions in this unique time. So we can do this in unique ways. And because I will be quarantining myself until I receive my results, this Sunday's worship will be different. In partnership with our task force and our worship leaders, we've opted to do a pre-recording of my sermon and a couple other worship elements, all recorded separately, then brought together through editing. They will be scheduled to release on YouTube at our regular worship times on Sunday. The Christian church has been through a lot over the centuries. Even the early church was growing and developing in long seasons of persecution. There have been countless wars throughout the centuries, including the more recent modern world wars, World War I, World War II. And this is certainly not the first pandemic the Christian church has navigated. In each troubling time, the church's mission to make disciples of Jesus Christ, participating in the mystery of God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit for the transformation of the world, has not changed. So I invite us now to reorient our energies in unity toward how we can live in worship with God, serve in mission together, and share our love together as disciples in discipleship in creative new ways, taking the best of our traditions, the best of our practices, and adapting them to the reality of this present moment, so all may know the abundant life of Christ. These are challenging times, but I'm excited to be partners with you. because of Camp United Methodist Church is a community of courage and faith, and I've already witnessed that. I love you, and I thank God for you all. Peace.